Hey everybody, welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. Today we have Anne-Jirsch, who is a world pioneer in a process that she developed called Future Life Progression. And we're talking about a book that she's written about her process that she's developed over the course of working with this with 22, she has 2,000 practitioners and 20 countries. So you're offering 10 tools that I thought we would talk about a subset of those today. So welcome.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
So I don't know what it's like in England where you're located, but in the US, hairdressers, bartenders, you said that you work with hairdressers, small business owners, CEOs, Hollywood directors, people from the music and film industry. A good
Mm.
portion of everyone that you mentioned in the US are now shut down, like they're not going to work at all. I don't know if it's the same thing in where you're located in the UK.
We're starting to open up, but obviously things like broadcasting are difficult. One of the things I'm finding is people are learning to adapt, and I love the way people are adapting. um, One of the things I've noticed is that the whole point of that book is I could see the world of work was going to change a lot. And that was about 5 years ago. I started to really feel this dramatic change.
Hmm.
And so I really started to dig into it. But the book actually came out the first week of the lockdown, which is quite spooky because you think the first week of the lockdown, and it's the subject is the world of work's going to dramatically change, keep
Hmm.
changing.
Hmm.
So really, the thing is, there's clever people that adapt, and to thrive in the future, you need to be adaptable. So I'm talking to people, and some just go and reinvent their entire business and go, okay, I'll do it this way now. Others are going, oh no, I'm ruined. So it's us. During the lockdown, I've noticed people gone into a very strange state, almost a panic
Hmm.
state. Some of the most grounded, normal, regular business people I know have almost been hysterical and irrational. They've gone into like this real crazy state. And it's because we're so busy all the time, we never stop and feel and process. And of course, we've been forced to stop and process. So that's been interesting. It's actually like how people are when they're going to rehab. And when
Hmm.
people go into rehab for alcohol, drugs, or anything else, there's an expression. And the expression is the good news is your feelings come back. The bad news is your feelings come back. What's happened is during the lockdown, people's emotions have gone crazy. But do you know what's lovely? You come out the other side of it, and I've watched people, and they've been, oh my god, it's so terrible, and then they've suddenly gone, I know where I'm going. I know what I'm meant to do.
Hmm.
They've suddenly got this clarity. So, and isn't it interesting? The year is 2020, clear vision. It's almost as if we've been en masse, the entire world's been told, sit down, shut up, get some clarity. Like, shut up, sit down. Let's work. So it's been interesting. The entire world's been forced to sit down
Hmm.
and actually stop and feel and think in the year
Hmm.
2020. So it's a very interesting year. But yeah, it's about being adaptable. So it's interesting to see how some people listen in times like this. Some people go off and make fortunes. If you
Hmm.
go back through history, it's times like this that the great industrialists or the innovators thrive. So it's up to us to change our thinking. That's what I think we need to do.
Okay,
Change.
so people who so let's actually take the two different scenarios that you mentioned. Some people who are just panicking
Mm,
and literally losing their minds and
mm,
fully th going into their emotions. I mean,
mm,
where are they coming? Help us see the other side of that. I mean, because that was maybe initially. Now that are people coming on the other side of that, and
mm.
after emoting and feeling, where are they now?
A lot of people are coming out the other side now, fortunately, and they're starting to think, okay, what do I do next? Okay, where do I go? Obviously, it's terrifying for people if they might lose their job and they can't pay their bills. It's also horrible when you can't go and hug your loved ones, or
Hmm.
you've got a partner that lives in the next state or 3 states away and you can't see that. So it's being deprived of absolute hugs and everything else. We will go into emotional state. It's
Mm,
uncomfortable. But I think what we need to do is go, okay, what do I do now? My
mhm.
grandmother lived through two wars, all sorts of mayhem. She lived with my granddad, who was a crazy guy and, gambled all the money. So she had a tough old life, my nan. And she always used to say, you just got to get on with it. And there's an element of us where your grandmother probably said the same. Our grandmothers just got on with it, didn't
Yeah.
they? They had it a lot harder than us. They've
It's
just
very
got on with
English.
it.
Just get on with it.
It's very
We
good.
don't say that in the U.S., but while I was smiling as I'm like,
Just
yes,
get on with it.
just get on
Yeah,
with it.
whatever it is, just get on with it. So so it's kind of, I think what we've got to do is go, okay, what can I do differently? Do you know the last few years, what we have these favorite sayings, don't they? Mine is do what you can where you are with what you have right now. And I think that's the point we're at. As soon as we buy into emotion and we get scared, it scrambles, and a lot of us are scrambled right now. But
Mhm.
if we stop and go, right, okay, this is where I am. What can I do in this minute? What can I do right now? And it might be to earn a living. Now, somebody close to me had a very high-powered job, has been made redundant during the lockdown, and just went, I used to do a bit of building work. I'll go back to that. Somebody else I know who does a lot of artist work that's completely dried up. Has gone, I'll go back to waitressing. It's sometimes we've got to put the pride aside and go, okay, we're in survival mode, and just go and be in
Mm,
survival mode. Do what you can with what you have right now, just where
right.
you are right now. I love
Don't
that.
even try to don't try to well, maybe I will be, doing, it's like, I can't, there's nothing happening in the world of art, so do something else, because if you keep on trying to make that happen, it just may not
Well, do you
happen.
know the other thing? Obviously I do work for a lot of people in LA, and I always say, get ready. When everybody sits back and says, oh, nothing's going to happen, so they don't do anything. This is the time to write that movie script and that
Mm,
TV show.
mhm,
This is the time to be honing your skills as a singer or an actor. Be ready to hit the floor running, because most people won't. And what's going to happen when it all gets going again? They're going to be wanting who's got a great script, who's really honed that we can bring in for an
mm,
audition. I always think, get ready. So again, somebody close to me that does a lot of design work, no work at the moment, but sitting there learning the latest every day for hours, just sitting there learning to get honed. And I think,
mm,
but I tell you something else that I find really useful. I found this useful for quite a few years. Michael Neal, don't know if you know Michael Neal. He's adorable. Hollywood coach. Oh,
mhm,
love Michael Neal. He's one of the nicest guys in self help. One of the nicest guys I've ever met.
mhm.
He does something, this is quite funny, he calls it business robot. Now, I did this with a client the other day, and she's going, yeah, but they expect me to do that, and the boss doesn't want me to leave. And she was all, and I went, stop. If you were a robot, if you were a business robot, what would business robot do? She went, I'd leave the job. I went, there you go. So it's just like, when you become a business robot and you see yourself as a robot, you make logical decisions. You get rid of all that emotional baggage. I love that. I love Business Robot. I think that's Michael Neal. Look him up. Look up Michael Neal on Business Robot. It's a brilliant technique.
Right.
What would he just looks at you and says, "What would Business Robot do?" And you go, "Oh, Business Robot." So it's such an obvious answer, but it gets rid of all that emotion.
Right, it gets you out of the illogical, rational, irrational kind of like emoting space and be like, robot would execute program to find directive, right? Interesting. So you're getting people, so the solutions to people honing their skills, that's number one.
Mm,
The second,
yeah,
that's one idea. The second idea is just do what you can do. So yes, you haven't been doing carpentry in a while and you can't be doing, so go out and do that because you need to bring in money.
yeah,
Um, are there other kinds like, so maybe they don't want to do carpentry. Maybe they want to, because it doesn't pay as much as what they're making and they need to make ends meet. So what are kind
yeah.
of ideas, or is it like just change your lifestyle? I mean, what are some of, I mean, would the business robot like Move to another apartment, then spell vacation house.
It's been interesting in the lockdown how much less people have spent. I mean,
Hmm.
because you can't go off to the restaurant. The restaurant's been shut. You can't go to the bar. People have. What was interesting where I live, I'm just outside London. The first week they opened the clothes shops. I popped into town because I needed to pop to the bank, and I walked past usually the busiest clothes shop. Everyone loves it. There was only one person in there. People haven't rushed to the shop. They've not bought any clothes for 4 months at least, and they hadn't rushed out because in that time everyone's been clearing out their cupboards. And what do? You go, oh, I haven't seen that top for ages. I like
Right.
that one. You know, we just buy so much stuff we don't need, and I think it's in a way made us reevaluate that we don't need as much to
Mm.
spend as much. So I think, yeah, it is tough. Some people might need to move. Sometimes you have to regroup, step back and regroup. Some of us might have to regroup and go, okay, I've got to go back and live with my mum for a while. If that doesn't spur you into action to get a better job, nothing will, because nobody wants to go back and live with their mum, do they?
Yes, that's definitely an incentive to like now, please, business robot, please come. Emergency business robot is needed. So it sounds like your clients have tried a lot of different things, but it's get on. Okay, just get on with it. So that's basically being adapting. Now, how about you have a bunch of ideas in your book? Let's actually, in the next segment, talk about understanding your purpose. Because I think what I've noticed is that um, I think that for people who were business robots, in the sense that they were just executing a program mindlessly, habitually, without really thinking about what they really wanted,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
noticed that it's kind of a wake up call to go like, I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. Like what's clear to me is I've been doing this work. So let's in the next segment talk about that and about your purpose. We've been talking to anne-jirsch about her book Future Life Progression, and we're talking about the various ways that you can adapt to the crazy disruption that we're feeling, and how I think it's miraculous that Anne's book came out the week after COVID hit, and it was about disrupting in your work life is pretty much guaranteed, and you kind of foresaw intuitively that something was going to change, and you were right. Um, thank you so much. And in the last segment, let's talk about your purpose.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. Would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.